Hello, VC, and all of my record collecting brothers and sisters. It's that time of year again. The Mega Record Fair is just around the corner. This time around, I'm going to get into the spirit and share with you some info, tips, and best practices to make any trip to the big event fun and enjoyable. Now, this will be divided into a 6-episode series, so sit back and enjoy what I hope will be a fun ride. So if you're new here, welcome in, and if you're a repeat offender, welcome back. I'm Johnny, you're watching Channel 910, and this is the Road to Den Bosch. So before we get fully engaged in conversation, I ask that you like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you have something to say, drop it down there in the comments. And if you know somebody who might like this video, definitely share it with them. It helps us out over here. So if this is all new to you, you may be asking yourself, what is this Mega Record Fair? And for the sake of time here, I'm going to reference this video that I did last year of the same Mega Record Fair, the autumn edition, and you get a little better idea of exactly what this event is. But in a nutshell, kind of the Cliff Notes version, this is a twice-a-year event held in Den Bosch, Netherlands. It is the largest record fair on the planet, and that is without exaggeration. This is 170,000 square feet of booth space, occupied by over 600 vendors from all over the globe, and this is something that takes place over a 3-day period. So 3 days total to be at a record fair means you have some decisions to make here. Do you go for just 1 day? Do you try to make the most of 2 days, or do you go all out and do the third day? And there's pros and cons to each. So I want to talk about a few of those real quick. So I'll talk about the positives first. And the first thing I can think of is more time equals more opportunities to dig in crates. The more we talk about this record fair, the more you're probably going to hear me refer to it being, large in size, overwhelming, hard to do in 1 day, and all of that is true. I will say the first time that I ever attended this record fair, I did it for 1 day, and I knew going in the next time that 1 day was not enough. Needed much more time to cover any amount of ground and get out of it what you pay to get in for. And therein kind of lies a positive or a pro to spreading it out over more than 1 day, is it tends to be a little less overwhelming. You can kind of take your time a little bit more. You still can't really take it at a slow pace, but it's something that you're not so rushed to try to get a lot done in just 1 day. Yeah, and another positive, if you're doing more than 1 day, you can honestly turn this into kind of like part of a mini vacation. You're only about an hour to hour and a half from Amsterdam. A lot of great areas around this area of the Netherlands. You're not too far from the German border, and it's not too far to get over to Belgium either. So it's a great way to kind of take a piece of a vacation and just kind of spend it right there in Den Bosch, picking at some records. So that I would consider to be kind of a positive too. So let's talk about some of the negatives that you could take out of making this a multi-day event, which, like I say, it's kind of necessary to do it for this, but there are some drawbacks to that. Yeah, and the number one thing, and it's kind of the obvious one, is the cost. So it can become very expensive just to attend this event. I mentioned earlier that the Saturday-Sunday portion is known as kind of the public admittance to this event. Those days are €13.50 per day. Now, if you were to get both of them together, package the deal, you can get it for €23.50 for those 2 days, which you get a little bit off, and that's good. So, but you're still paying over €20 to attend this thing over 2 days. Now, if you do add in the dealer day on the Friday before, it's going to increase the price pretty significantly. It goes from a weekend pass of €23.50 to €75 per person. So you're essentially paying a little more than €50 per person just to attend on Friday. And you can't buy Friday by itself. You have to buy the whole weekend in order to get the Friday dealer day access. But in my humble opinion, I've done dealer day one time, and I'm doing it again this year because it really was worth it to have that early access to this inventory and the lighter crowds, which we'll also talk about here in a bit. And not just admittance to the event itself, you have to pay for parking, which in the Netherlands tends to be very expensive. It's not terrible at this particular location. You're looking at about 15 euros per day. There is no bundle deal, so even if you go all 3 days, it's still 15 euros per day. So not the worst I've seen, but it's still there's no free parking at this event. And of course, if you're coming for multiple days, it probably means you're going to have to get a hotel. You're going to have to buy food for the duration that you're there. And I don't know how you got into the Netherlands. Maybe you had to fly. Maybe you took a train. Even if you drove, you're having to pay for gas. So there's cost involved in transportation, lodging, food, parking, and the admittance to the event itself. It can get expensive. This does become more of an event than anything else. So just kind of be prepared for that going in. But it can be kind of a drawback. While the selection at this event is outstanding and the size is enormous, it can be overwhelming, especially if you're only going for the one day, or if this is one of your first record fairs, or especially if it's the first time you've ever gone to this one, because the second you walk through the door and you really understand the scope of this event, it can be very nerve-wracking to try to figure out how to navigate through this maze of records, because your attention is being pulled in every direction. So, and we'll also talk about some ways to get around that in future episodes. But for now, one more negative I could think of are the crowds. It's an extremely crowded event. There are tens of thousands of people coming through these doors all weekend long, and sometimes you have to muscle your way just to get to a crate. Sometimes you have people that are like right on, like your personal space doesn't exist at this place. It's very much, they're right breathing down your neck, quite literally, to get into the crate that you're in. So there's this kind of feeling of anxiety of trying to hurry up and get through it so the next guy can get in, and it just becomes a little bit nerve-wracking at times, just trying to dig through the crate. So the crowd can be a big drawback if that's something that you have trouble dealing with. I mean, I don't want to harp on a lot of the negative stuff. It is kind of easy for me just to keep naming positives, but let's just leave it at that and just understand it's a multi-day event, and how you go about doing it is ultimately up to you. But there are pros and cons to single day, double day, all weekend. So just know that going in. But I kind of mentioned that little mini vacation piece of it, and the surrounding area around Den Bosch is very nice. If you've never been to the Netherlands, beautiful country, and Den Bosch is no exception. It's a very nice little Dutch town. It's got nice walking areas. The downtown city area is very nice. I know a lot of Europeans that are used to cities like this would probably look at it as just being very kind of run of the mill. But for someone like me who didn't grow up around European cities, every time I go into one, it's like a little experience, and Den Bosch is very nice. So I think if you're staying in the city itself while you attend the record fair, you'll have lots to do between the restaurants and the pubs and just the sights and just looking at the architecture. It's a great place. Just north of Den Bosch is the town of Utrecht. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. It's always the way I've said it. It's a nice little canal town. With good shopping, good restaurants. There's a castle nearby there too. Really cool place. So if you're wanting to stay a little bit away from Den Bosch, Utrecht's a nice option. Eindhoven and Nijmegen are both cities that are close by, about 30-40 minute drive from Den Bosch. I haven't personally ever visited these two towns, but they're of substantial size, and they're close enough that you could probably commute back and forth to the record fair without issue if that's where you chose to stay. So both good options as well. Yeah, and if you want to go about an hour, hour and 15-minute drive north, you've always got Amsterdam as an option, especially if you're looking to kind of extend this trip out into that mini vacation. Amsterdam's a nice spot to go up to. The major airports there, so if you flew in, that's probably where you came into. Probably a little too far to commute every single day to get to the record fair, but then again, maybe you like the long road trips, and that's okay too. But definitely a good spot to stop off at. A little bit more touristy, but you're going to have all the museums and all of the architecture and the tulips, and I mean, it's Amsterdam, so it'll definitely give you something to do if you plan on staying in the Netherlands for a little while. And really, that kind of captures what I wanted to talk about in this particular episode, where we talked about what the record fair is and kind of what's around the area. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the vendors and some of the other events that are going on at the record fair that you can enjoy. So stay tuned for that episode. But until we meet up in that next episode, be cool, love each other, and if you're spinning, you're winning.